Welcome to the live stream. So apparently I cannot, I thought I could in OBS, don't go over there. I thought I could, right click a source to, preview the source. I swear there's a way, because I was going to modify a source while you guys were looking at a different source, and then it just switched to that source. So that wasn't what I meant to do. I thought you could do that. I was going to update the bingo board while the intro music was playing. And then it just switched to that source, and so that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Hello. There we go. Oh, well. Yeah. I guess you can't. I'm sure you can do that. There's like a studio mode. Oh, there we go. Studio mode. Yes. Studio mode gives me a program and a preview. See, the preview. It hasn't switched yet, has it? The program. Okay, hang on. So now I do transition. Yeah, and now it switches the program and the preview. Yeah, that's what I needed to do. So then I could preview. See, now I could change the preview, and I could have messed around while the program still showed the off-air card. Okay, here we go. Program shows the off-air card. Preview. That's cute. Studio mode. That's what I needed. I don't use that. I just use this. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, anyway. Oh, and I was like, oh, I got a package today. Maybe I'll just open this package up and see what's in it. And then as I was opening it, I thought, maybe it's something that I'm not supposed to show on stream yet. And then I saw what was in there, and I was like, oh, yes. Please do not publish or announce any details of this product prior to the stated release date. So I didn't show it. I mean, I showed, you saw a white box, but I don't think I hope you didn't see anything. Anyway. Blunty, don't do this for real, but it would be hilarious if Bardwell blows an NDA as a bingo. No, it doesn't. I don't have an NDA often enough that it would be worth putting as a bingo, but it cracks me up. It's not the one Nick Burns was hyping. I'm really stressed out. Not stressed out. I'm conflicted. Here's why I'm conflicted. I wish I had the overhead cam. Is it worth setting up the overhead cam? I don't think it is. I'm conflicted because this is a 23 millimeter strap on this watch, and it's very hard to find 23 millimeter straps. And Tudor makes a strap for this watch that's beautiful, and it's like $300, which hurts me to think about paying that much for a strap. So I won't. But then all the aftermarket straps, which I just got it's a nice silicone strap from Barton. All the aftermarket straps, they're okay. They're not as nice as the Tudor strap. So that's what I was thinking about. No, that's not what I was doing before the live stream. Before the live stream, I was what's it made of? The $300 one. Yeah, indeed. Hold on, I'll show you. It's a nice strap. It's a nice strap. Let's see if I can find a good image of it. It's their NATO strap. Isn't that nice? It's a NATO. It's freaking. It's a freaking NATO strap. It's not even leather. And I mean, I've seen it in person. It's nice. I have a friend who has a Tudor, and he has one of the. It's not the exact same strap, but it's. And oh, that's not the right one. That's the blue one. I don't think it's worth $300. And I was thinking about that because I looked down, and every time I look down, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's not great. Anyway. No. $300 is a lot for a piece of fabric, I have to say. Even a nice piece of fabric. So I bought this this is one of the only straps I could find that comes in 23 millimeter width. And it's nice, but it's not the same. Anyway, there you go. Bart, hey, that's a freebie. Do I have Bardwell Talks About Watches today? I don't think I do. Oh man. What I was actually doing was I was getting ready to release this video, and I was hoping to release it before the stream. Sadly, I did not get it all put together, and now, here I am. My wife was like, are you going to go do your live stream? I was like, oh shit, it's time to go do my live stream. Working on this document and an accompanying video. Can I zoom in? Where's Zoom? Zoom. This document, which talks about, oh, I'm giving it away for free, which talks about how to design a multi-rotor power system. It's like a 20-page document, battery voltage, stator size, stator shape, motor kV, etc. And basically, let me save this as a, can I save this? Oh, save as Google Docs. Wonderful. Basically, just like how you end up with a motor of a certain size, right? There's an accompanying spreadsheet, and yes, there's a video. That's not going to be there. I haven't released the video yet because, yeah, here we go. So there's an accompanying video that will release soon. And I was getting that all ready to release. I haven't done the thumbnail. I always stumble on the thumbnail. So that's coming. And in today's edition of Bardwell is amazed at what AI is capable of. So I sent the documents, I sent the spreadsheet and the report to Blunty, first of all. He was the first one to get it. And I was like, can you look at this and tell me if you see any mistakes? He caught some things. Then I sent it to a select subsection of my Discord and said, hey, you guys got any feedback? And they gave some feedback. And then the last thing I did was I gave it to Claude. I gave them the document, and I gave it the spreadsheet, and I just said, check my math. And I'm just, someday I'll stop being amazed. But I'm astounded at how good of a job it did. Because it was able to take this report, this write-up, and like quote unquote understand it. And I know it doesn't really understand anything, right? But quote unquote, it was able to cross-reference the spreadsheet and the written document and say, okay, this section of the written document is this section of the spreadsheet. Compare the formulas, the Excel formula and the written formula. Cross-check them for discrepancies. It found discrepancies. Oops, you messed up. You used a different number in the spreadsheet than in the document. I've worked with computers my entire life. Well, not literally, like when I was a baby. But I've worked with computers since I was very, very young, and I've seen computers get smarter and smarter. and do. My first computer that I had as a kid had CGA graphics, which is like, how many colors was CGA, like 4 colors? I don't remember. It wasn't very many colors. It was stupid, and I loved it. And I've watched computers get smarter and smarter. I've watched them learn to talk. I remember when I was begging my boss to give me a computer that had a sound card so I could play games on it. It didn't have a sound card. It just went beep, beep, beep. And I wanted a sound card, which was a thing you had to buy because computers couldn't make music by default. I've watched them go through all these phases of an improvement to what we have now, and I've never in my life seen anything as astounding in capability as the leap that has happened in the last 5 years with large language models. The idea that you could just dump this report and this spreadsheet and just say, check my math, and that it could do something as complex as what it's done here, it absolutely blows. You might as well have showed me teleportation. You might as well have showed me time travel, frankly. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, more bingo cards for you. I swear I'm not just setting them up. I was just telling you about my day. That's what I was doing today. Okay. But now, what I'm going to do is answer your questions. And Blunty is queuing up the questions. AI used on stream. Technically, Blunty, did I use AI on stream? Or did I just show AI on stream? You think I should give myself that one? What do you think?
I don't know.
Is Blunty here?
I bet you'll use it anyway by the end of the stream.
Can we hear Blunty?
That's my... Hello?
Uh-oh. Why don't I hear Blunty?
Hello, I haven't changed anything.
Yes,
Hello?
Blunty.
Hello?
Blunty? Oh, because my earphones are turned down. Blunty, are you there?
Yep, I guess Jack can hear me, but you can't.
I had my volume turned down. I turned the volume down because I was listening to the monitor, and I didn't want to... I'm sorry. Yeah, what did you say? Should I give myself AI used on stream?
I said you're going to use it by the end of the stream anyway again, so it doesn't really matter.
You don't know that. You don't know that. Okay, so that's a no. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get some questions. We'll start with this 10 Australian dollars from RLM Dog. G'day from Adelaide. G'day from Adelaide. Would you know of any good portable screens with HDMI input? I'd like to let my kids wear the Goggle X while I fly by looking at the screen. I can tell you the one that I use. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to show you my entire Amazon purchase history. Fuck you. But, what I will do is I will bring up the product listing. So this is the one I use. And it's pretty good. It's not too expensive. The reason I use this one, it's got HDMI input. 7 inches is a good roundabout size. And it is 2000 nits, so you can see it in full daylight brightness. I wouldn't prefer to use it as a primary flight monitor, especially, but it can be used for flight in full brightness. And that's the one I recommend. So easy, too easy. Hope that helps you out. If you want to go up to a 10-inch screen, you could probably... The thing I would look for, though, especially if you're going to be outdoors, is you want, like, at least 800 or 1,000 nits of brightness. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see it. Now, if you're like, okay, well, kids, go stand in the shade. You know, go stand under a cover. You know, that's different. But, like, if you really want it usable in the daylight, at least 800 or 1,000 nits is where I would shoot for. And here's a $2 super chat. Can I fit the Moonlight VTX inside the Axis Flying C-35? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be hard for me to answer that definitively. It feels like no. Just looking at it, it feels like no. The Moonlight VTX is fairly roomy. Doesn't look like there's a lot of room in there. I feel pretty confident the answer is no. You cannot fit the Moonlight VTX inside the Axis Flying C-35. I'm not I feel fairly confident about that just looking at it.
So is the 04 Pro smaller than the Moonlight?
Well, it fixed an 04 Pro is what you're saying. Yeah, the 04 Pro is absolutely smaller than the Moonlight. So the Moonlight is... That's a good point, though. I mean, if it fits the 04 Pro, that's a good question to ask Plenty. So the Moonlight is more like the size of a Vista. It's thick, whereas the 04 Pro is relatively thin. So there's the Moonlight. And I'm just looking at the C-35, and I'm especially like this shot here. I'm just skeptical that it'll fit. Where is the 04 Pro? Where does it fit, right? I wish I could see somebody open it up. And then also I look right here, and it feels like they've got this section here bulges down, and it feels like that's where they would put the 04 Pro on underneath the flight controller, basically. Like, where's the SD card slot for the 04 Pro? Can we find it? Here's the antennas. Where's the SD card slot for the 04 Pro? Oh, there's the 04 Pro here. I don't know if we're going to be able to find it from these pictures. Well, I wish we could find more pictures of it.
I will say, and somebody else says in chat, you would think like on this kind of a drone, they probably designed it to fit the 04 Pro as the maximal, like amount.
Yeah, and this type of Cinewhoop is often optimized for compactness. Who's going to open it up on stream? That's the thing. Albert Kim, is he going to open it up on stream? Albert, you going to do it for me? You going to save me here? He doesn't. He has the analog version, so that doesn't really help us. I'm not even sure that's the same version that we. That's the different. It's a different one. That's not. I'm not even. That doesn't even look like the same version as what we're looking at. So I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm not confident that it will. How about that? I can't say definitively yes or no, but I'm not confident that it will by a long shot. Okay. All right. My best I can do without having one in hand. Thank you, Royden FPV, for a $10 super chat. Still flying 6 years after you helped get me in the air. Wow. Many people don't make it that long. Flying professionally on and off and loving long range. The last 3... Shh, don't say that. You're not allowed to fly long range. That's not legal. I'm glad you're here, man. Mupshot has a question. Why would my Nanohawk cycle between connected and RX loss until I arm? Then it's okay. That's messed up. That's messed up. What changes when you arm? Output power. If you have dynamic power turned on, again, we're assuming Express LRS here. I'm assuming Express LRS. Output power goes if you have dynamic power on, then when you're disarmed, it can go to minimum. And when you arm, it goes back up to full the necessary power. So if like the receiver antenna's messed up and you're losing link. Oh, excuse me. That's not a good start to the stream.
Wait, does dynamic power change with arming?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When you disarm, it goes to low power. Right?
Okay.
That's why arm has to be on aux 1.
But wouldn't it just be at low power already because it's dynamic?
Well, yeah, but okay. So I'm fishing here. Like
Like
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying think about the only
What if
case.
the antenna's messed up, and so it's RX loss, right? Or it's fighting for connection. When you arm, it realizes it has shitty RSSI and it increases power, and then it goes to connected. That's like my theory.
Okay, I guess my problem, like my thought is like you would never want to have it go lower power than it needs to contact the radio. Otherwise, you'd lose the quad on the disarm.
Well, but doesn't Captain Bry, you're here. What's the behavior of Express LRS dynamic power when you disarm? Does it go to min power always? Because or does it go to a lower power, or does it not change anything at all?
I can see
That's the
both sides
question.
of the what you're saying, and you know what I mean. I just I wouldn't have assumed that it changed, but maybe it does. Real quick, I'll just say Bryce suggested VTX admin because there's an SPI issue with VTX admin, and that is also what I told Bupshot in the Discord. So
Okay.
you
So
disable VTX admin when using SPI.
okay, good. The Express LRS VTX admin, that's in the Express LRS Lua script. You can change that to like you shouldn't be using it anyway. Captain Bryce says when you disarm, it stays at whatever power it was on unless you are armed. Then it goes to full. I'm not sure I exactly follow the second half of that, but it sounds like when you disarm, it stays at whatever power it was on. So, Well, Blunty, do we know if it's an SPI receiver? The Nanohawk?
I couldn't figure out when I looked it up, but I think the Nanohawk, at least the Free Sky version is SPI, but I'm not sure if it's serial for the other.
I mean, Mupshot should be able to answer that for sure.
Yeah, he says it is SPI.
Oh, well, there you go. Has he disabled VTX admin? Sounds like you answered the question, Blunty. Now we can just benefit from the explanation, but all right. All right. Well, Mupshot, hopefully that's helpful. Captain Bry, I thought Captain Bry says when you disarm, it just keeps doing dynamic power. Then why do I need to have arming on aux 1? I thought the two things that arming on aux 1 were for was number 1, dynamic power, and number 2, race telemetry. I thought those were the two things that it was for. Was I wrong the whole time?
I thought it was just for safety.
Like, because that's also because it carries the arming flag in every packet. I'm gonna have to give myself Bardwell was wrong. I thought it was because when you disarm, like dynamic power stops working, and so it needs to know if you're armed. I've said that before. No one has corrected.
Oh, he says if the receiver disconnects and you're armed, it goes to full power automatically.
Well, that makes sense.
So that's why we need it.
Yeah. But if you just disarm, then it stays at the power it's at. Bardwell is wrong. Where's Bardwell is wrong? It'd be silly if I didn't have that one. No, Bardwell is wrong. Not on my board. Yeah, I can't imagine. It doesn't seem like there's any interaction between the arm switch. Oh, no, because it needs to know. I see what he said. If you're armed and the receiver disconnects, then it goes full power. But if you're disarmed and the receiver disconnects, it doesn't go full power?
Yeah, it stays dynamic because it doesn't assume you need it to be full power to get to the drone, right? That's about what I'm taking away from that.
Okay. Well, that's educational to me. So what you say, so like let's say the drone is close. You're at 10 milliwatts dynamic power. You're armed. Suddenly the receiver disconnects. It loses connection. It just disappears. At that point, the transmitter will not like dynamically try to ramp the power. It will immediately go full power because it's like, shit, where did you go? But if I'm disarmed and like the drone goes a little bit further away or something, it's going to do dynamic power like normal. Okay. So it does need to know whether you're armed or not. But not for the reason that I thought. Okay. Well, it's nice to learn things. That's why I do this whole live stream, is so I can learn things. I know I'm supposed to know it all. I don't know it all. I've never sincerely claimed to know everything. All right. Next up. Next question. By the way, I've gotten literally no bingo. I've gotten literally no bingo squares. Absolutely none. I've done several, like 3 or 4 things that I know are a bingo square. This is not my night. Not my night. Bingo is fired. Romalio asks, I'm currently building an analog quad using the HDLRC Zeus Nano VTX. I think I uploaded the wrong VTX table. How do you delete it from the config so I can re-upload the correct one? You don't have to delete it, just re-upload the correct one. Delete it from the config. I suppose in presets, there's a blank VTX table, I guess. If I type the word default, and then also I need to just, the firmware versions here are messed up because lots of the presets aren't correctly updated for the 2025.12 and 2026.6. But if I just look for defaults, the default VTX settings, show CLI. Yeah, that'll do it. Yep, that'll do it. So if you find the default VTX settings, that should work. Default 4.3 VTX settings. There's Betaflight 4.3. So default VTX. Yeah, it's only for 4.3, but it's the same. If you load that, it will reset it. But you don't have to do that. Just load the correct one on top of the other one. It'll be fine. Best antennas for the DJI V2 goggles. Thank you for $250, Oliver Wu. I don't know. It's been a long damn time since I had V2 goggles, but I'll do my best. My favorite antennas for the DJI V2 were the iFlight Crystal. Now, can you still get them? It's in stock and available. So these are not the absolute strongest antennas, but they're so nicely integrated, you can just put them on and basically forget they exist. And I love that. They give a little bit of additional gain, and you can just see right here what they look like. You have no additional like size or bulk, and they give a little bit of better coverage. If you want like the best, like the problem is every other antenna, you're going to have a lot more size and space, and you're going to want to unscrew them when you take them off. What else is there? I mean, yeah, no. The Maple Wireless people think are hot shit. They are nicely integrated. I tested them out. They had some BS that they talk about with left-hand, right-hand polarization, like mixed polarization. I tested them out, and I did not find them to have any real benefit. And they're expensive as hell. I don't think they're, like, substantially better. and I'm turned off by I think it's bullshit personally about, oh, well, you transmit one left and one right, and then we have combination left right, and it's better. I didn't find that to be the case. I mean, it's just a sample size of one, so I could be wrong. But I was pretty turned off by how expensive. I just didn't find them to give better performance. That's the bottom line. And they're $162. I would steer you away from those. If you want to go to a little bit better antenna, you could get something like the True RC X-Air for DJI. Do they still have the V2s? Sheesh. I'm not sure what they do. Left-hand polarized for HD0 goggles. There we go. So this would be more like a even better option. X2 Air 5.8 for DJI V2. These are really great antennas. Boy, they do add a little bit of size to your goggles, though. It's a decision you could choose to make. 13 dB IC is no slouch, though. That's a lot of gain. And there was another version that actually had the double, but I don't actually see it. So I guess maybe they don't sell it anymore. So, yeah, that's the direction I would go. I ran the iFlight Crystal, though, on mine for the longest time. I mean, if you want to be a real stud, you do something like this. But again, putting it away is a real pain in the ass. So you decide how much you care. I'm being told I mentioned Discord and I should give myself that square. Bardwell, Discord mentions. Fine, I mentioned Discord. That's fair. Question about DJI? Yes, got it. That is true. I got a couple squares. Confused about a question. I was confused about Cat and Bry's response about dynamic power. Okay. We'll get a few. Thank you, Gavin. Thanks for asking, Gavin. Yo, Bardwell, how are you? Thank you for asking, Gavin. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Any day where the biggest problem you dealt with was feeling frustrated that the nicest strap for your watch was the OEM strap that cost $300. That's a good day. I feel like that's a good day. I'll be doing a GoFundMe. What used analog goggles would you get for $200 or less? I want to upgrade from my cheap box goggles. Man, if you can find a set of used analog goggles for $200 or less, you're doing pretty good. That seems low to me. I think under 300 is pretty nice. Under 200, I would be suspicious that they were broken or something. So like an old set of Fat Shark HDOs, HDO2s, something, I don't know. The main requirement I would want is that it supports a standard Fat Shark style module. Some of the old goggles that you still occasionally see going around have a built-in module and it like doesn't support race band. It's so old, you wouldn't want that. But like the HDO2s, sure. The SkyZone Sky O2C, if you can find those. Any of those that you could get for under $200 is, if they're in decent shape, is a steal. I mean, but when you consider that the modules alone are like $80 new, it just feels like these days, it's going to be mighty hard for you to find a binocular style goggles for under $200. So
Someone in the chat says they found 040 Pros used for 230. You know, I think if
040
you're somewhere
Pro.
040 Pros, yeah. So I think there's some world in which you can find something around that. The big thing I would urge you to do is make sure like you do research about the model of goggle you're buying, because there's a lot of older analog goggles that have very small FOVs or very old screens that you might accidentally purchase, and then you'll be like, why are these goggles so small, or why isn't the quality good? And it's just because you're on an older generation, you know.
In some cases, the names are confusing. Like especially the fat. I don't remember exactly what they did, but they like reused one of their goggles names. There's a super old goggle with the exact same 3-letter acronym, and then they sort of reused it. And it's like, okay, but when I buy one, how do I, like, and then people come and they're like, oh, I'm buying this Fat Shark goggle. I'm like, no, you're buying the 10-year-old one and you don't realize it. So, like, yeah, just check the specs and make sure you know what you're buying. There are definitely very old goggles that, like, they were usable back in the day, but they have, like, a super low-resolution screen, you know, like 320 by 240 or some bullshit that you wouldn't want, or a super small field of view, and these days we would consider that basically unusable. You can do better, so. Fat Shark HD3 for $100? See, I got to remind myself, what's the HD3? Fat Shark Dominator HD3. I think that one's okay. Let's just double check. Oh, no, I wouldn't want to find the specs anywhere on your webpage, would I? I think this one's okay. I think the HD3 is okay. Let's just see if we can find the specs anywhere. Old school eye cups. This was before the faceplate. Don't tell me what the screen resolution is. Nah, I wouldn't ever need to know that. Nah. Oh, hallelujah. 42-degree field of view. That's pretty good. Plastic optics. That's not ideal, but it is what it is. 800 by 600 LCD. That's fine. $100 all day. You can fly on those all day. $100 all day. That's I would take that over an EV800D. No question. Because you take that and you slap a TBS Fusion module in it or a SpeeDB module, that's as, like, in terms of reception, it's as good as anything you're going to get. The DVR is trash, but hey, who cares? You spend $100. As far as just showing you what your drone is doing, that's worth $100 all day long. Buy it, assuming like the screens work and everything.
Didn't the old Fat Sharks need some kind of module bay thing, or is that not for this? Wasn't there like a power thing with the module bays where you had to do?
Yeah, the higher powered. Oh, interesting. The higher powered modules required, like, the module bay couldn't provide enough power, and you had to either like jumper in a separate cable from the right side bay, or there was a resistor you could remove or jump, and it basically just made it, the resistor was the cause of the power loss. I don't know how to do that on this. You're right that it's possible.
It is. Dahari says he has HD3s, and they do need the ribbon cable for the rapid fire.
Power mod. Yeah, but you could do the mod. This is it. Oh, look! Bardwell to the rescue! Bardwell to the rescue! Now, is it the HD3s I'm working on? It is not. But maybe it's the same on the HD3s.
Where there is an alternate source of 5-volt output. And that will actually tell you. And
oh my goodness.
To split the clamp, the inductor we want is labeled L1. I wanted on these goggles and forgot that I did it. So here is...
You can see here what I've done is I've removed the inductor, I've desoldered it, and then I have jumpered it with a piece of wire. Okay? and I believe the L1 and the L10 inductor. I go into it in the video. And I think that this same power board was used on multiple goggles. But long story short, you can open the goggles up, you can look. And if you see the L1 and the L10 inductors, like if it just doesn't look the same as this video, just carefully put everything back together and do something else. But yeah, you will need supplemental power. So, my goodness. It's been a long time since I thought about that. All right. Blunty calls out a chatter is not a bingo board. Bardwell calls out a chatter is a bingo square. Not Blunty, right? I don't think that's in there, Blunty.
I think I might have one.
Oh, no, it's right
I
here.
might have done that.
It's right here. Oh, no, right here. No, I literally have it. I get it right there.
When did I call out a chatter?
You called out Tahari.
That's not really what I meant by that. Maybe I need to rephrase the wording. I meant
you said you were like, "Hey, shut up, Mister."
Yeah, or like you said something wrong, or like let me correct you, or like like a more like a. But it is what it says. So.
The chat thinks it counts.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give myself that one. The chat has decided that Blunty calls out a chatter, it qualifies. And so apparently you're wrong.
You know, when I made this whole bingo thing for a joke one stream, I did not know we were going to get to this point.
So DC in the chat says, I don't know if I would feel good about jumping an inductor. Those instructions came straight from Fat Shark. Fat Shark okayed those instructions. I also wouldn't just remove an inductor for no reason. Suffice it to say that what you see in that video, the L1 and the L10 inductor mod, is blessed by Fat Shark, the creator of the goggles. It's okay. Oh, are you talking about jumping it versus... Yeah, no, you would want to remove it. You would want to remove it. Yes, you're right. No. The inductor is... You're right. You can't just short-circuit an inductor because that isn't like short-circuiting a resistor where it's basically not there. You want to remove the inductor and then jumper the pads.
I think you got confused because the video you showed had like the inductor was still there, or it looked like, and you had jumpered over the inductor.
It wasn't, though. It wasn't.
Okay.
The inductor was removed, and there was like a piece of wire. So, I'm closer to a bingo than I thought. I need AI used on stream and latency discussion, and I got a bingo. I'm kind of impressed. Kind of amazed, honestly. I really didn't think I was going to get one this time. Matt Smith asks, does the lack of latest firmware update across the O4 Air Unit Lite, G3, and RC FPV3 impede the ability to receive and view live video feed in the FC receiving controller inputs? No, that all works the same as it always did. I mean, it worked.
I told him
what is he asking?
I think he's saying, is there any, if I don't have all the latest firmware, or if there is a firmware issue or whatever, like how do I know if they're going to work or not? Like I'll do all the numbers need to be the same. That's what I'm getting from the question. And the answer is if everything binds, like if you get video and then your little RC controller icon shows up in the goggles to show you the strength of the RC controller, then that means that the whole system's working and then it should work. Like that's all you have to know.
Yeah. You don't stress about it. And, like, will the performance be better or worse on a different firmware update? I don't think so. I think most of the changes that they made are bug fixes or quality of life improvements, like little things. But in terms of just pure range and performance, I don't think there's substantial differences. Riz Hassan, thank you for a $5 super chat. Motorcycle road trip with the DJI Potato. Which camera should I buy? Insta360, GoPro, or DJI? Handlebar to potato drone. So you're going to put the camera on the DJI Potato. I got to tell you, the DJI Potato did not do so. It does okay sometimes with the GoPro, but sometimes it does real bad. So I would try to keep that weight down. The Insta360 is going to be a fantastic handlebar camera. 360 cameras on motorcycles are just a dream come true. So like, if you're going to go from handlebar to potato drone, I would be mighty tempted to get the Insta360, but I'm not sure how well the potato is going to handle the Insta360, depending on which Insta360 camera you get. Some of them are like big and long, and some of them are not. So that's a tough one. Like, just for pure image quality, I think GoPro is going to do better. I think GoPro generally has better image quality than DJI and Insta360. So
I would also say, like, if you're doing a motorcycle road trip, I would get some, like, if you already have mounts for something, or if you already have cameras that are going to attach to the motorcycle or other things, you know, you might consider just, like, homogenizing those for convenience and doubling up.
Yeah. The Insta360 MX6 releases soon. Like, which Insta360 camera are you going to get? Some of them are just completely inappropriate for the drone. Like, I think the Insta360, this style, like the X5, that is mighty hard to mount on a DJI drone, because you would tend to want to mount it straight up, and then it's going to wobble real bad. If you mount it flat, then the seam line is right where the drone is facing, and that's not ideal. Something like the Ace Pro 2, that's not a 360 cam. At that point, I would get the GoPro, because I think it's probably going to have better image quality. Although I've heard good things about the Ace Pro, so I don't know for sure. Thanks for $2 from, whoops, wrong one. Thanks for $2 from Flying Taco. Analog goggles should never pass 200 USD. Yeah, good luck with that. Let's take this question from Poulettes. I own the Walksnail Avatar HD Goggles X and the Sky 040, but I prefer boxers. Avatar HD Goggles L, box goggles. Oh, I see, box goggles. They have an easier full frame view, no fiddly IPD alignment, and per eye units aren't noticeably better despite the front weight. Is there any reason to upgrade to the DJI Goggles 3? Yeah, so you have a Walksnail and you have analog, right? And you're going to upgrade to the Goggles 3. I don't know why you're not asking about upgrading to the Goggles, the N, the box goggle. Right? Because, what is it called? It's not the Goggles N. N3? N3. The Goggles N3. Why wouldn't you want the N3? Because they're more like a box goggle? Wouldn't that be the one?
Because he also has DJI N3.
He does. Does he say that? Did I miss that?
No, it wasn't in the question.
Okay. So, like, yeah, if you've already got the N3 and you love box goggles, the only reason to upgrade to the G3 is that it does higher frame rate and lower latency. I think that's the major distinction. But you already said you don't like that style of goggles, so I would stick with the N3 for you.
The question, I guess, part of the question was like, what am I really going to get by upgrading to Goggles 3 from N3?
Yeah.
Right?
Higher frame rate screen, which gives slightly lower latency. I think that's... does the N3 not do 60 megabits per second? I think it doesn't. It doesn't do race mode. Does it do race mode? It does do race mode. It does, oh my god.
Yeah, it does do race mode.
Remind me. It does do race mode. Does it do 60 megabits per second? Blunty? Quick.
Chat says it does, but I don't know.
Is the 90 F or the 100 FPS the only thing it doesn't do? I thought there was one more thing that it didn't do that you gave up. I know it doesn't do 100 FPS. It does the 60 FPS screens. That's the main thing. Take your time. Just take your time. Well, I'll wait.
While we're waiting, he also says maybe a better question is, why don't goggles fit me, or why don't I like binocular
I mean,
goggles?
if you have particularly narrow or particularly wide set eyes, that's the main thing I think people tends to make people not like standard goggles. So yeah, refresh rate, we got that. We didn't really, I mean, the FOV is different. We knew that. Transmission. The N3 doesn't support the O3. It's not backwards compatible. That's a thing. I don't think it's relevant to your question, but it definitely, yeah. Here's the latency difference. 31 milliseconds at 1080 100. So it will still receive the 100 FPS feed, but the screen is only 60 FPS. And so it like downsamples the feed and you get higher latency. So 31 milliseconds versus 24 milliseconds. You can still set the drone to 100 FPS. You just don't see 100 FPS in the goggles. So yeah, a little bit. That's not an insubstantial amount of latency, but it's not deal breaking either. 60 megabits per second, yes. 60 megabits per second, yes. And yeah, that's it. So those are the key differences. A little bit higher latency, no backwards compatibility support for the O3. That was the one I forgot. And then the refresh rate, 60 hertz versus 100 hertz, which relates to the latency. So no, I don't think like, unless you're like just a latency freaking bandit, unless you're Nils Vo and you care a lot about, I don't know why I said bandit. Unless you care the most about latency, just stick with the N3. Now, because you said you don't like binocular style goggles, almost everybody, I would say, no, the binocular style goggles are so much better to use. The N3 is okay, but the binocular style is where you want to be. Absolutely upgrade to the G3. But you said you don't like that. So, just to be clear. Anchovies on pizza or not? Yes. So I like salty food. Anchovies to me are not an everyday thing, but sometimes anchovies, yes. Sometimes, yes. I'm not an anchovy hater. Thanks for $5 from QWERTY 1. I'm currently looking at the Flywoo 25 and the Sub 250 3.0. I've never seen you review anything by Sub 250. Is there a reason? Yeah, the main reason is they haven't sent me anything to review. Like, usually I don't like occasionally I'll see a product and I'll be like, I need to buy that. I'm very interested in reviewing that. Mostly the products that you see on my channel are because a vendor reached out to me and said, would you like to review this? And I go, yeah. So wouldn't you be happy to know? Won't you be so happy to know? Bum, bum, bum! Wednesday, July 22nd. This is how it goes, people. This is how the sausage is made. Hey, Joshua, we're going to launch some drones. Do you want them? Yes, please. I'm available to review them. When is the launch date? Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go. Bardwell reveals his address on stream. But that's my P.O. box. Does that count as Bardwell reveals his address on stream? Nope, because that's a P.O. box. That's specifically so you don't know my address, although my address is not a secret. So, no, you don't get that one. And in case anybody wonders, like, secretly, does Bardwell, yes, I'll review your drones. It will cost you $5 million, and I'll only say nice things about them. Nope, that's pretty much how it goes. There you go. That's it. That's all it is. Anyway, so I will be reviewing a Sub 250 drone soon. Squirrely, I'm not taking your question because I know you're manipulating the bingo. I know you asked the question about the L word in order to give me a bingo, and I'm not having it. I saw when that question came in. I'm picking up some HD0 V1 goggles, brand new, sealed for $270 tomorrow. It's a suspiciously cheap price. I agree. That's a suspiciously cheap price. It could still be a good deal, but that is suspiciously cheap. Granted, the V2 goggles have a couple things going for them that the V1s don't, but the V1s are a solid goggle, and I would think that given that the V2s are in the $600 or $700 range, that the V1s would be more than $270. But you know, good luck. It's possible that it's just a good deal, and you're gonna luck out. So you know, I wish you the best. Dominic Caps says, I love the Nazgul. I love the Mark V. What are some cheaper recommendations for a pre-built 5-inch? The Gepard C Vapor is a relatively inexpensive 5-inch, but I got to tell you, that's just what you pay for a quality 5-inch pre-built these days. Sorry. You can go on AliExpress and you can buy garbage. And sometimes you buy garbage off of AliExpress and it works out. But you just want to be aware, like that, with you're rolling the dice. Gepard C Vapor, that's about like it's in the $300 to $400 range. That's just what a bind and fly 5-inch costs these days, and it just does. You want cheaper, you just go down to 3 inches, or you build it yourself. Even although building it yourself doesn't actually make it that much cheaper. I'm so sorry, like that's just how expensive things are these days. And it sucks. So, what are you going to do? Oh, let's see. Hey Joshua, I'm back to fly after 3 years. My ESCs were BL Heli 32. Is there a program anymore to swap rotation of the motors, or is BL Heli 32 gone and all? I mean, you can still download BL Heli Suite 32. Can you still get BL Heli Suite 32, Blunty? To, like, program your ESCs?
Yes. Yep. And the prototype. There's another prototype.
Yeah, so, like, you could still download BL Heli Suite 32, the same as you always did, and use it to program your ESCs the same as you always did. Right? Where is it? It's not, I'm not finding it. Hold on. Bitdump/BL Heli. There we go. Yeah, and BL Heli Suite. So here's BL Heli Suite. Just assuming you have the old standard BL Heli 32 firmware, there you go. Just download that and you're good to go. Now, where's the prototype, Blunty?
Go to fpvlinks.com.
Oh, that's Blunty's website. fpvlinks.com. What do I
And
type?
you type prototype in the search, it'll pop up.
BL Heli Suite 32 prototype configurator. So some of the newer BL Heli 32 ESCs that came out after BL Heli 32 went out of business have a firmware that only works with this specific configurator. In which case you got to download it from here. But if you have the older standard BL Heli 32 firmware, the standard configurator will work. So, fpvlinks.com. Oh, this is a good question. Tyler Kahn, right to the front of the line. That's a quality question. I always appreciate when Blunty ends with just get out there and fly. When do you end with that, Blunty? When do you say that?
A lot of our conclusions of discussions are essentially that summarized. It's like, stop dicking with this latency thing and go fly your drone.
Yeah,
you
just
know,
go
that
fly
sort
your
of thing.
damn drone. Stop dicking around. Yeah. It got me thinking, what's one optimization people worry about too much and one thing they should actually spend more time on? That's a fantastic question. That's like such a good question. Like I wish we were on, Hot Ones and Sean Evans, and I'd be like, damn, Sean, you're a good interviewer. That's a fantastic question. It's a great question. Tyler Kahn is the Sean Evans of this interaction. Blunty, I hope you'll think of one as well. And actually, I'd invite any of the guys in the chat or in the Patreon to post their own, and I'll read them off. Like Crom, I'm sure you can think of one. I'll selectively read them off if I like them. I'll give mine though. The optimization people worry about too much is PID tuning. Now, I've stolen that answer. All of you guys who were going to say PID tuning, unless you're like going to put a spin on it, I've stolen it. That's the obvious one. Everybody, especially beginners, think they need to tune their PIDs. You don't. You don't. Just fly your damn drone. Fly your damn drone. You're not a good enough pilot that the PID tune is holding you back. And if you're a super great pilot, the PID tune doesn't matter. Now, there is a point where I'm gonna fine tune the PIDs and I'm gonna try and make my drone just a little bit better. Sure. And by the way, and if PID tuning is fun to you, by all means. Like, I definitely spent way more time trying to learn how to PID tune than I did trying to learn how to be a great pilot, because I'm a giant nerd and I care more about tweaking knobs than I do about actually being a good pilot. So there's nothing wrong with that. But people think that they need good PIDs to fly better, and that's not true. You hand a great pilot, you hand a Min Chan Kim or an Alex Vanover or an Evan Turner, are guys who come to my mind. You hand them any drone, they will immediately be 1,000 times better than you, no matter what PID tune is on it. And then if they're going to take that drone to the World Championships, they're going to tune the shit out of it, because every little bit counts. But PID tuning, you pay way more attention to PID tuning than you really need to. And if you actually care about being a good pilot and making good content, don't get into PID tuning. The only time to really get into PID tuning is when you're trying to solve a problem. I have a drone, it's doing something bad, and it's the kind of bad thing that PID tuning can fix. And then you get into PID tuning. What's one thing they should spend more time on? What's one thing they should spend more time on? Now that's a trickier one. I'm going to try not to just give a throwaway answer. Practice. One thing that they should spend more time on is this. It's the answer is kind of practice, but I'm going to be a little bit more nuanced than that. A lot of times people go out to fly, and I'm guilty of this too. So I'm not pointing. You point one finger and you're pointing three fingers back at yourself, right? Totally true. I'm guilty of this. You go out to fly and you spend time practicing things that you're kind of good at. And I see this when I'm teaching other people. They'll have something that they're kind of good at and they'll want to do more of that so they could get better at it. And I'm like, you seem pretty good at that. Stop doing it. Do this other thing. And they're like, I hate that. I suck at that. And I'm like, I know. That's why I'm asking you to do it. You need to spend time working on everything, not just the things you're good at. And a lot of times, unless you have somebody else there to point it out or give you a training program, you don't always know off the bat which things you need to be working on. So you need to stay well-rounded. So the thing people should spend more time on, if they want to be a good pilot, is working on the things that they don't enjoy, that they're bad at. And obviously, if you never do things you enjoy, then you'll hate the whole hobby and you'll quit. So there's a time to do things you enjoy and have fun, but then there's also a time when you're trying to improve and you need to focus on things that maybe you're bad at that you tend not to do. Okay, let's see. Blunty, what do you got? You got one? You got one of each?
For me, I would say the thing you should not, or you worry about too much, is that you're trying to update versions of firmware.
Ooh, I like that.
I think every now and then there has been a big enough firmware change that you actually need to update. Like you don't need to update. You typically don't need to update EdgeTX. You typically don't need to update your ESC firmware if it supports bidirectional D-Shot. You typically don't need to update Betaflight if you're on some modern version of Betaflight. Certainly, if you bought a Bindfly or pre-built, you don't need to do that. But even, just like wasting the time to do the update for features you're not using, I think is often like something that you do, and then you get in the weeds doing that. You've lost 2 hours of flight time, or you lost an afternoon, or whatever, and it's like, yeah, it seems kind of pointless.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think the problem with the second part of this question, what they should actually spend more time on is, what I fly. Maybe that's
Right.
that's the answer. I'm curious to see what other people come up with, because a lot of people are saying stick time. I just think you need to fly. Like if you really want to get better at flying, you have to go fly, not do all the other stuff you think you need to do, because that's not actually helping you get better at flying.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going through clicking some of these. I like those. Here's some other ones that came up. Crom said, worry less about getting good footage and more time just having fun, enjoying the moment. So he took it a completely different direction than me, and I love it. Yeah, stop stressing about, is my footage good? What do you think of my footage? He's like, do you like your footage? Like, your footage probably sucks, right? You're a beginner. Your footage sucks. That doesn't matter. Yeah, it's great. Go have fun. You'll get better. We got Smelly Fox, who says people worry too much about latency when they should be focused on flying. Damn right. Stop worrying so much about latency. Well. Crom's got another one. Beginners are always super worried. Oh, how long can I fly? My battery only lasts 4 or 5 minutes. You got get more batteries. Doesn't matter. Don't worry. You don't need to fly for 15 minutes. I love it. One IFPV says, spending too much time configuring my radio. And too much time obsessing over my OSD. I see people with radios and every single mixer line and every single input has a name and every switch has a name. And I'm like, hey, look, if you enjoyed that, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just showed you on a previous live stream an app that lets me track how many seconds per day every single one of my watches is running at, and track when I put them on and take them off my wrist so I can see which watch I'm wearing the most. By the way, I have to make sure that I have it correctly logged, I am wearing the correct. Okay, it's correctly logging which watch I'm wearing right now. So the log has to be accurate. So yeah, no, nerd out if you want to nerd out, but you don't need to focus on that stuff. Very nice. More time spent making sure your quads are mechanically sound. Sunshine says, as someone that started to learn PID tuning about the time presets came out, it's way less time consuming to keep a couple of PID tunes on my quad, factory default, and a preset. And eventually I found a couple I liked without spending hours tuning. Yeah, UAV Tech, Mark Spatz, who is an expert at PID tuning, said for most people, you load a preset, and then you just adjust the master multiplier up or down a little bit till your quad flies good, and leave it alone. Roborito says the opposite. Nobody talks about OSD layout, but so many people have overly cluttered OSD layouts. So Roborito says that people should spend more time thinking about their OSD layout. In other words, cleaning it the F up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great question. I really enjoyed that. what whoop would you recommend that uses the HD0 VTX? I believe that there is an HD0 Happy Model Mobula 6 race and a Happy Model Mobula 6 Freestyle. Unfortunately, it's out of stock. Do they not make it anymore, or is it just temporarily out of stock? M8 Freestyle, out of stock. HD0 Crux 3.5, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. Okay. What if I look at my favorite FPV stores? Oh, shut the hell up with the pop-ups. It appears to be in stock at Get FPV. HD0 Nano Lite, out of stock. So I'm just looking at things that are in stock because, like, it doesn't do you much good if you can't buy it. And we've got the HD0 Mobula 6. That's the one I was looking for. 1S HD0 Mobula 6. That's a solid choice. Oh, it's out of stock. F you. Out of stock. F you. Nothing. There's nothing. You can't buy anything. Has Pyrodrone got it? Sometimes. Oh, Pyro's got it. Way to go, Pyro. You rock. So they got the Mobula 6 Race and the Mobula 6 Freestyle. There's not that much difference between them. I think the KV of the motors and then the way the camera mounts to let you change the up tilt. I think the Race is just a little bit lighter. But this is a solid little whoop with HD0 built in. And there aren't a ton of whoops with HD0 built in. So, like, yeah, which is your favorite? Well, this is the one that exists, so I guess that one. I'm not saying it's literally the only one that exists. I can't think of another one off the top of my head, though. Surely the chat is suggesting others, maybe that are better, but are they in stock? See what the chat says. I don't see anything. I think that's a solid recommendation, even if there's other suggestions. What's the benefit of using a DJI controller with an 04 system over using Express LRS for the receiver? Blunty, I feel like we've covered this, and I wonder if it's on the Livestream Clips channel. So for those who don't know, Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips is a channel that Blunty runs, where he clips out sections of the live streams. Oh, look at me. Yeah, showing off that chest. She clips out sections of the live streams where you can find questions that have been asked. It's a great way to, like, just focus in on bits of the live stream. I see the old best freestyle frame question still popular as ever. The question is DJI-RC. Let's search for that. Should I use the DJI remote or get Express LRS? Yeah, so 3 years ago, but I bet the answer is the same. DJI FPV remote with DJI O3 Air? No. Okay, I'm actually surprised I haven't. I'm surprised I haven't answered this question more often, frankly. But there you go. So I'm going to tell you to go check out this post on the Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channels. In fact, let's let Bardwell from the past answer this question. Dan V asks, if I want to use an O3 for a new FPV build and don't have a controller yet, is there any reason to get anything other than a DJI controller? So Dan, if you are planned to only fly the O3 Air unit and you never will fly anything else, the DJI FPV controller has, some people would like that as an option. It's going to be very simple to set up and very simple to wire up.
the whole binding configuration process is going to be very simple. It's going to give you enough range it's going to match the range of your video link approximately. So people would say, well, it doesn't have as much range as an ExpressLRS. Well, as long as it has enough range to outrun your video link, you don't need any more range than that, really.
So
The
04 is a little bit different because with the 04, the RC controller binds to the goggles, and then the goggles is the only link to the drone. So in fact, the range of the control link is identical to the range to the video link. They're the same thing.
Is an issue where when your video link drops, you also momentarily lose the control link. I think that issue has been improved, but I'm not 100% sure it's been fully fixed.
Yeah,
I'll keep an eye on the chat.
Actually, I see that it doesn't apply because with the 04, when you lose the video link, you lose the control link too, because since they're the same link. Is that true? Or are they like separate streams and one can keep going? I thought now I'm vaguely thinking somebody told me that no, the control link can stay even after the video link drops out. Well, anyway, all right, fine. The main thing you get with an ExpressLRS receiver is that you'll have a more robust controller. Like, look at this thing. Oh my God, look at all these switches and knobs and things. Like, you could do a lot with this, right? You can use this for non-DJI drones. Oh, you don't want to have any of those, do you? So, like, I think there's still compelling reasons to go with a third-party ExpressLRS controller, but if you want to go with the DJI RC, it is a little bit simpler. It's one less piece of hardware you have to buy, and some people prefer it. Now I'm checking to see if, like you can see, like I don't know what's going on. I think my glasses, like the earpiece would get messed up and they get crooked. I say like, well, what's going on there? Now I'm like, are mine crooked now? I think they're straight. I mean, my eyebrows may not be straight. Okay. Hey, you know what I just saw?
There's a lot of interest.
I watched this whole video. Hoarder Sam is building a drone for the DARPA Lift Challenge. Wow. The dude just lives on a frickin'... Look at the street he lives on. Wild. Just got a frickin' industrial space in front of him. So he's bought... So in case you don't know, the DARPA Lift Challenge, DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, they basically, one of their representatives told me their goal is to prevent strategic surprise. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, they try and get ahead of things that would be surprising in a, like, oh, shit, we didn't expect them to do that, or we haven't prepared for this possibility. And what they're trying to do with the DARPA Lift Challenge is significantly increase the lifting capability of drones. So the goal of the DARPA Lift Challenge is that the drone has to achieve a 4-to-1 payload to weight ratio. Now, to compare that to current drones, best case, get close to about a 1-to-1 payload to weight ratio. So like you've got a drone, it weighs 100 pounds. It can lift almost 100 pounds. And many drones don't get close to that, but like the absolute best of the best get close to about a 1-to-1. And it's interesting because like if you look at, okay, well, think about full-scale helicopters like a Chinook or a Sky Crane, like these big-ass cargo helicopters that lift like cars and trucks and shipping containers. A Chinook weighs about 25,000 pounds. It can lift about 25,000 pounds. It's actually right about a 1-to-1 payload to weight ratio. And so DARPA was like, okay, it seems like about a 1-to-1 payload to weight ratio is right where we're at for vertical takeoff, whether it's a drone or a helicopter. And then they were like, okay, well, we think 4-to-1 is doable. So for your perspective, 4-to-1, 55-pound drone, that's the biggest Part 107 can use, would be lifting 220 pounds. That's insane. A 7-inch drone. Like a little 7-inch drone, like this dude here. This dude weighs about 2 pounds. And when I did a battery test on it, I put a 2.5-pound weight on it. And I flew it for about 6 minutes. And it was flyable with a 2-pound weight on it. Like, it's not to say that you absolutely, like, could I have lifted 3 pounds? Could I have lifted 4 pounds? Yeah, it would take off with 4 pounds. The whole 1-to-1 payload to weight ratio thing is busted. That's not to say that you could not get in the air with more weight, just that you wouldn't have any maneuverability and your flight time would be shit and it wouldn't be very useful. That's the, so yeah, about a 1-to-1. With a 4-to-1, this little 2-pound drone would lift 8 pounds. So, like, it's a significant jump forward that, like, at first, to me, sounds kind of like impossible. Like, if we could lift a 4-to-1, we'd already be doing it. But then it's like, well, maybe we're just not trying hard enough. That's DARPA's theory. They're putting up $6.5 million in prize money. Yeah, Blinty.
Can I ask? So the statement, the DARPA challenge is minimum of 110 pounds on a 55-pound drone. So that's 2-to-1. Are they just trying to get to 4-to-1, but the minimum is 2-to-1?
No, that's so. That's a little hard to read, or maybe it's misstated, or maybe it's being misread. The minimum is a 4-to-1 payload to weight ratio. If you're going to win, you have to get a 4-to-1 payload to weight ratio. The maximum weight for the drone is 55 pounds because they wanted to stay within Part 107 so that you could test your drones legally at home without having to do a whole bunch of shenanigans to go over 55 pounds. The minimum payload is 110 pounds. So you could come with a 110-pound payload and a 110 divided by 4 and a 27.5-pound drone. That is a 4-to-1 payload to weight ratio. What they didn't want was a situation where some jackass like me shows up with like a 2-pound drone and an 8-pound payload and goes, "See, guys, I did it." Because they want this to be able to scale up to bigger things, and they also know that, like, there's scaling laws, like an ant can lift 100 times its own weight. Well, okay, so like a drone the size of an ant can't lift 100 times its own weight. But, like, they wanted people to be forced to tackle the problems that happen when you are building larger drones. So the minimum payload is 110 pounds, which means the minimum weight drone that can win is 27.5 pounds. And the maximum weight of the drone is 55 pounds, so the maximum payload is 220 pounds. And then it's going to be the highest payload to weight ratio. And then if there's a tie on the payload to weight ratio, there's other criteria they're going to use, like the fastest time or the highest load. I don't know I'm not sure about the rules past that point. But does that clarify your question?
Yes. It wasn't clear it was 2 different criteria.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yep, correct. 2 different criteria. So the reason I'm telling you about this is, number 1, I think it's cool. And number 2, in case you missed it, I'm going to be part of the broadcast team. I'm going to be going out there for the final 3 days of competition. I'm going to be doing a live stream broadcast, like basically all day for 3 days. They got another dude. He's an ESPN sports broadcaster. He's going to be in the booth with me. He's going to be the professional broadcaster. I'm going to be the YouTuber. He's done, like, I looked him up. He's done some NBA games. He's done some, like, ESPN bowling, but he's an actual professional sports broadcaster. And then there is a woman who's coming. She's going to be the booth. She's going to be in the pits going around, putting microphones in people's faces, talking to them. And we're going to be the broadcast team. And that's going to be pretty cool. Go ahead, Blinty. You had something to say. Did you? I thought you did.
I don't know. But so this is 5 nautical miles, right? It's like a track they have to fly around and stuff.
That is correct. 5 nautical miles. So they have to lift the weight. And they initially just wanted to go 5 miles out and land. And then 5 miles back empty. But they realized that was going to be very, very difficult. to like find a place to do it and so forth. So instead, it's going to be I think it's basically like 1 mile out, 1 mile back, 1 mile out, 1 mile back, and you're going to do 4 miles. Then you're going to land. You're going to take the weight off. The people will just, you don't have to like remotely drop the weight. People will just take the weight off, and then you'll do one more leg empty. So you have to be able to land and take off again while loaded. DC, if you had a 20-pound drone that can lift a 110-pound payload, then you would be very likely to win, because your payload to weight ratio would be 5 to 1, or a little better than 5 to 1. You can feel free to exceed the payload to weight ratio. The minimum is 4 to 1. The winner is the one with the highest payload to weight ratio who completes the course. So if you can lift 100, and the minimum payload weight is 110 pounds. If you can lift 110 pounds and fly the 5-mile course with a 5-pound drone, then you have a 20 to 1 payload to weight ratio, and seems like you'd be in the running to win. Although I think that would defy physics, but hey. Sunshine, there is no regulation on the type of drone or the amount of props. It has to be VTOL. It cannot be like catapult launched. It cannot be lighter than air. You can't use lighter than air. You can't use like a hot air balloon or helium or something. What's the award for completing the challenge? There is $6.5 million in total prize money. I don't know off the top of my head how the prize money is being divvied up. Tyler Kahn says it's a 1,000-foot course back and forth for 5 nautical miles. Yeah. So here's why this came up, though. I saw this. Our old friend, well, I say for our friend. I say our friend because Hoarder Sam is a YouTuber whose videos I've watched, and who, you know, we're YouTubers in the FPV community. So in that sense, I don't actually know him. He's not like a friend of the channel, like he's been on the channel. I don't want to overstate our relationship. But good old Hoarder Sam is building a drone for the DARPA Lift Challenge, and he put up a video today. This guy has gotten a frickin', this is a paramotor motor. Because he said the paramotor specs could lift 220 pounds or 200 plus pounds. He's like, well, that sounds good. And he goes through in this video. I actually watched the whole video. It was pretty entertaining. He goes through and he basically reinvents the helicopter. Like originally, he was going to do it with, hang on. He was going to do it. I have to find the picture. I've lost the picture. So originally he was going to do it with vanes. He was going to do a monocopter with vanes. I saw the picture. There it is. It's not there, though. Where's the timestamp? There it is. And he found that the vanes didn't have enough authority to keep the thing stable. That would have been badass, but it wouldn't work. So then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to put some outrigger DC motors to stabilize it. So basically, he's building a giant quadcopter. Hang on, we got to find it. He's building a giant quadcopter. There we go. Come on. There it was. There it was. So basically, this motor is giving the lift, and then he'll have a couple of outrigger motors that will do the stability. And then to counteract the torque of the main prop, he'll have this motor. And I'm like, you just invented the helicopter! Except without collective pitch. Anyway. So basically, he goes through a lot of his process here. Yeah, doesn't that look a lot like a helicopter? Kind of does. Good for you, dude. And he's going to be there. He's going to go, and he's going to try and complete this course. And I don't even know what to say. Anyway. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Just a random YouTuber Like, just decided, hey, I'm going to try this. Am I nervous? Am I nervous? No. Not really. It's going to be fine. I mean, just blathering is what I do. Blathering is what I do. And so they want me to... So they're like, we're going to hire you to be like the nerd guy, like the technical guy. And my first thought is, oh, I don't know anything about engineering. I don't, modulus of deflection and energy density of gasoline versus batteries and watt hours per gram. And then I realized probably the broadcast doesn't call for that level of analysis. And probably if I just say things that I think sound smart, it'll be fine. I just have to not drop the F-bomb. I'm not going to drop the F-bomb. We'll see. Just be smarter than the main announcer. Yeah, well, I don't think he knows much about drones, so... So let me try and find the names of the other people, because I feel like I did them a discredit by not actually... and there was an announcement, but I can't find the damn announcement. Hold on. Let me see if I can... yeah, hold on. Joshua Bardwell. There he is. Good old Joshua Bardwell. There we go. So the other two announcers are Todd Harris and Elena Buenrostro. They used an old headshot of me here, and that was a mistake. So that will not be my permanent headshot going forward. That's my old Rotor Riot headshot, and I don't have a beard. Anyway. But Todd Harris and Elena Buenrostro. Yeah, go ahead.
I put a link in the Discord for the official page, and it has details for everybody and information about the course and stuff.
Oh, god damn. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that if I were a professional, I would... Where's that, Plenty? Meet the hosts. Oh, meet the hosts. Ah, there's the headshot. Hey! Todd Harris, decades of experience calling live sporting events for national television audiences. NBC Sports commentator, covered Olympic and action sports. Of course, you all know who I am. And Elena Buenrostro, licensed commercial drone pilot and founder of Women Who Drone. She judges drone film festivals and works with the FAA, Drone Deploy, Columbia University, Vaughn College of Aeronautics and Technology, and Google. And she'll be the field reporter. So we are the broadcast team. Yeah, I'm psyched. Here's her. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Anyway. No actual engineers in the room. I think, hey, shut up. You know what? I like to think of myself like Hank Green. God, I aspire to be like Hank Green. Hank Green is a science educator. And I wouldn't call myself a science educator. But, I may not be a drone engineer with a capital E. But I certainly don't have an engineering degree. But I have a skill at translating technical topics in a way that ordinary people can understand. And I understand them just enough that when the smart people talk, I soak it up and then I try and turn it into things that normal people can understand. So I'll take that. I don't know what kind of a person Hank Green is, but I think he's an excellent science educator and communicator. And he has a real passion for science, and I appreciate that. I watched his stand-up show, and he also was depressingly good at stand-up for someone who I don't think has really ever, practiced stand-up except when he decided to do a stand-up show, and then he just did it. And I'm not suggesting that he just immediately was good at it the first time. I think he worked at it, but I don't think he spent like 10 years grinding in the nightclubs getting good at stand-up. And I think he just was like, I got cancer, and I think that's funny, and I'm going to do a stand-up show about my cancer. And then he sat down and he wrote a stand-up show, and then he probably practiced it for like 6 months or a year maybe, and then he recorded it, and it was brilliant. And I'm a little upset with him for being so instantly good at something like that.
I do love Hank. I will say though, like Hank does like 80 things.
Yeah.
So like he's like always doing something where he's talking to a group of people or doing YouTube. I mean, he's been doing Vlogbrothers for 20 years or something.
That's fair.
So like I think you at some point you have some base, like that's where the grinding happens.
That's fair. Yeah, I wonder how much of his pre-exist, because I would that's an interesting insight. I like that. Certainly, if you're the kind of person who records YouTube videos, like that doesn't translate to being in front of an audience necessarily. I mean, there are parts of it that probably translate, like the ability to just speak extemporaneously, and you know, that translates in front of an audience. Not for everybody. Some people they could do it to a camera, but not to a person. But then the ability to sort of like, you know, fine tune a punchline to get laughs and read the room and time the jokes. You know, those are things that I think may be distinct, and I think he should get credit for being good at them. But yeah, that's a good point. He didn't exactly go in cold, did he, Blenty?
Yeah, I mean, he does all kinds of speeches and talks and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
I think he was a good candidate.
Yeah. If you like Hank Green and you haven't watched his comedy show, it's legitimately funny. Like legitimately funny. And touching and insightful and all the things you would expect from someone like him. Okay. Cam Cornell, thank you for a $5 super chat. What's the difference between low gain and high gain omni antennas for freestyle versus long range? Low gain antennas have a wider coverage pattern. High gain antennas have a narrower, more focused coverage pattern. Think about a light bulb broadcasting all its light into a dim room versus taking a reflector and putting it around the light bulb and focusing that light in a narrow spot. The light bulb is putting out the same amount of light. That's the key thing. But in one case, the light is spread all over the room and so is relatively dim in any one location. In one case, the light is focused and is bright in one location and then no dark everywhere else. So the question is, where is your drone going to be flying? If your drone is going to be flying all around you, then you want a low gain antenna, because a low gain antenna has the most symmetrical, the most even coverage pattern. If you are going to be flying mostly in front of yourself, then you may choose a higher gain antenna, which focuses the beam where the drone is going to be and not where the drone isn't going to be. But the difference between 1.2 gain and 3 dB of gain is not very much. You're not going to notice that very much. That's a very small difference. Wax on Wax Off wants to know if I have any thoughts on the Deep Space Seeker 3. Thank you for $2, Wax on Wax Off. Not particularly. I've heard good things about it. I've talked about it on the stream on and off. I think it's fine. VTX, camera, ELRS, Seeker 3, Dead Cat versus the Seeker 3 XL. What's the difference? Yeah, interesting. $200 for a 3-inch. Got GPS. That's cute. Like, I've heard people say good things about it. I haven't flown it myself. And 3 inches are mighty fun. I'll say that. It's a 3-inch with GPS. If the GPS actually works worth a damn, it's nice to have. Under 250 grams? I would hope so for a 3-inch. That's with the 04. You go analog. Yeah. Yep. Oh, thank you for $20 from Made Dirty by Design. I have a Meteor 75 with an 04 Air. My style is simple and cruising around my backyard, but I do have a lot of open areas to fly also. What do you recommend that's the next step up? Going from a 75 with cruising, I mean, like the Deep Space Seeker 3, like the next step up from a 75 for me, like you could go to an 85, but that's not much of a step up. I would go to an open prop 3-inch or 3.5-inch as the next like step up. It's not going to be that much different in terms of cost and not that much different in terms of danger or noise. It's a little louder, but it's going to be significant step up in terms of power and speed and range and flight time and agility. Not that you care about agility. Crom points out that open prop 2.5-inch 2S is super popular. Absolutely. So something like, I think you're thinking of like the Caillou Mini on 2.5-inch. 2.5-inch, sure. Like to me, I would rather be at the 3-inch or 3.5-inch size than 2.5-inch. That's just like, I like the way they fly a little bit better. A lot of people love the 2.5 inches. That's fair. Anubis wants to know, I'm looking to buy TPU for mounting the 04 Pro and other accessories, 95A or 98A? 95A. What is 98A even? Is that the Bamboo AMS? What's the 98A? Uh, 95A is what I've always used and what I think everybody uses. I'm not even sure where you get 98A. Bamboo, you can't see my screen. Bamboo TPU for AMS. Hardness. What's the hardness of Bamboo TPU for AMS? No, that's 68D. That's a completely different thing. So 95A is just the go-to for TPU. Like, I'm not even sure where you're finding 98A, to be honest. I'm checking here because I'm kind of like, am I crazy? Am I, like, I can't even think where I've ever seen 98A for sale. Obviously, if I were to search for it, I could probably find it and buy it. But, like, every TPU that you search for is 95A hardness. Oh, whoop, here's 90A. Wow, I didn't even know you could get that. Highly elastic. I don't want that. 95A is what we've used. Yeah, Blinty.
Yeah, one says Prilene makes a 95A, and its FPV apparently used 98A, rather. Sorry.
Who does? It's FPV?
Yeah, and Prilene, I guess, has a 98A.
I mean, I suppose you could make an argument for, like, it being harder and more durable. But, like, if you're asking what the standard is, it's 95A for TPU drone parts. And it seems to work pretty good. I think it depends what you're making. Like, if you're making a GoPro mount where you're going to squeeze the GoPro into the mount and you want it to have a little bit of give, 95A. If I was trying to make something like a landing foot, right? A landing foot for a drone, TPU would be so, it would abrade away too quickly and be a little too wiggly, and you might make an argument you'd want something harder. But at that point, actually something like the Bamboo TPU for AMS is a better choice. The 68D of the TPU for AMS, this is not like TPU as you know it. It's like quote unquote flexible, but not like you're picturing it. And it's actually really good for like a situation like this where we're going to make like a drop hammerhead, right? We're going to make something that's technically got a little bit of give, but it's very wear resistant. So if I was trying to make landing feet for my drone, this TPU for AMS with 68D shore hardness is quite good. Would be quite good. Let's see if I can find a shore scale. Oh, that's not very useful. That is the image that I want. It's just tiny. So if we look here, 95A is right around here. Right? And then 65D is right... Well, that's not... That hasn't really given me very much. I wanted examples of what you could do with it. Yeah. 90A, phone cord, 60D, swivel wheel. Yeah, okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is that the TPU for AMS, which is around a 68D, is much harder and more abrasion resistant while still having a small amount of give, whereas the 95A is very flexible and not as abrasion resistant. And 98 to 95 feels pretty minor, but I don't know. Okay. Bojack wants to know if I have experience with the Caddx Farsight. I do not. I have no experience with the Caddx Farsight. How's it working for you? That's the Caddx camera with the built-in zoom, I believe. Is it worth it to upgrade the O4 Lite antenna? I think that's debatable. I think that the O4 Lite performs very well on its stock antenna. And like the DJI goggles have linear antennas on them. Surprise. So the fact that the O4 Lite comes with a linear antenna, you might think, oh, I'm going to put a good circular antenna on it. No, that's not going to improve things. So I wouldn't necessarily upgrade the antenna on the O4 Lite from factory. DJI is pretty good at giving you stuff that works. Not perfect, but pretty good. DG Moore, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm looking for the DJI Goggles 3. The prices are all $650 plus. Have you ordered from DJI NYC before? I have not. I have seen people... Excuse me. I have seen people say that they ordered from DJI NYC. And that they got what they ordered. But you can't, like, I don't know how strong you should take that. That question has come up before on stream, though. I'm not telling you to order from them. I am saying I sort of remember that coming up on stream and people saying that they got what they ordered. Joseph Dahari says DJI NYC is a local store here in New York. They are reliable. Okay, well, that's like an endorsement that, like, Joseph Dahari is a longtime member of the Discord, and just if he says they're a local store in New York and they're reliable, that counts for something. They are a physical store here, he says. Race FPV, is that the same as the DJI store in downtown New York? Because that store is legit. Okay, multiple people saying it's legit. Like, I would make sure that you're actually ordering from that store and not someone pretending to be that store. Hey, Ryan says Newbie Drone has them. It's weird that they're selling them at MSRP when everybody else is marking them up. I don't know. But if you're asking, that's as strong. I mean, like, yeah, okay. I I would probably buy them at that point. If Joseph Tahari was like, yeah, they're good to go. It's a local store here in New York. You can trust them. If I was in your position, I would probably be like, all right, good. I'm going to do it. And then if it got ripped off, I'd go yell at Joseph. But Exiled FPV says, DJI NYC/Camrise is definitely legit. Ordered many times. Okay. All right. Oh man. Excuse me. Striker FPV wants to know, in 2026, is there a real reason to go 30 by 30 on a 5-inch over 20 by 20? Yeah. I hate soldering a 20 by 20. 30 by why would you go 20 by 20 on a 5-inch? You have all the room in the world. Okay, you're building a 3-inch. You haven't got a lot of room. You go down to a 20 millimeter or an all-in-one 25 millimeter. Okay, fine. But on a 5-inch, why would you do a 20 by 20? Unless it's like a tiny racing drone. Yeah, there's a reason. It's easier to solder a 30 by 30. You got a lot more pads on a 30 by 30. What a question. I'm offended by that question. All right. Maheus wants to know, why am I not seeing any difference in power on my analog VTX? It's the Happy Model X14. Let's say I'm behind a tree and the noise looks the same on 25 milliwatts and 400 milliwatts. It's an all-in-one, right? The Happy Model X14. So the first thing I would wonder is if your smart audio isn't set up right. And so your flight controller is not talking to the VTX. So when you change the power level, nothing's actually changing. However, on an all-in-one with a built-in VTX, I think that's unlikely. I think it's likely that it is changing the VTX power. The next thing I would do is I would get a power meter, which you probably don't have, so this advice isn't going to help you. But I would get a power meter and I would measure the power coming out of the antenna, and I would see if that changed. Because sometimes a change in the output power doesn't necessarily, you just want to verify that the output power is actually changing. The other thing is that depending on what you're looking for, like you fly behind a tree and you get a little bit of breakup. And that breakup may be the same on 25 and 400, but like it turns out that on 400 you can still fly way further away. Like even when you're at higher output power, you're still going to get some breakup. So like I would want to do a test in open air, fly away with nothing between you and the drone, and see how far you get before it like really starts to static out. And then right there, land, turn the power up and take off again and see if it gets better. You don't even need to fly, frankly. Don't even fly. Just put the drone on a table and walk away from it, but walk away from it in such a way that there is nothing between you and the drone. Walk away until the video gets staticky, and then turn the power up and see if it just immediately gets better. Because when you involve obstacles, sometimes unexpected things can happen. That's how I would run that test. All right. Andrew V. Oh, you'll need a fan. Yeah. Thank you, Smelly Fox FPV. You're going to need a fan blowing on the VTX, otherwise it will just shut down. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Ooh, Blunty. We're going back to the very first, one of the first questions in the stream from Mupshot. He did have dynamic power turned on. And when he changed it to static power, his problem went away. The problem was related to dynamic power somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's probably some SPI bug or something. Like it doesn't send back the right data or something.
I'm kind of happy that even though I didn't fully understand how dynamic power worked, my hunch that it was related to dynamic power seems to have been correct. I'm looking for Bardwell turns out to have been right. It's not on here. It happens too often. It would be a freebie. Oh, Clips channel mentioned. All right. All right, guys. We're going to wrap up. Thank you guys for coming to the stream. We will be back on Sunday. We're streaming this Sunday, a week from yesterday. We are not going to be streaming Monday, a week from today, because I will be on my way to the DARPA Lift Challenge. And I want to let you know, if you're trying to figure out when I stream... Oh. Dial's too busy. That's not for me. You can go to... You can go to the live tab on my channel, and you can see all the live streams are queued up for the next little while. Next one will be August 2nd, and then August 16th and 17th, and then more after that. But if you're like, when is Bardwell streaming? You can even sign up to get notified. Well, I've never seen a focaccia that bubbly. I don't know about that. Oh. Okay. Well, I'll scroll my YouTube. I was like, ooh, these videos are interesting. What's that? What's here? I'll scroll. I'll do that on my own time. See you later, everybody. See you next Sunday, and then some after that. Have a great stream, Siati. Bye, everybody.
Bye.